Hello, I'm James Izimoha. Welcome to Africa News, where we bring you the latest updates from across the African continent. Let's see your headlines. At least 7 Ugandan soldiers battling al-Shabaab militants in southern Somalia have been killed. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu steps down as Ecowas chair. Ghana deploys drones to assist police in tackling illegal mining activities in the region. Thank you for joining us. At least 7 Ugandan soldiers have been killed in a battle with al-Shabaab militants in southern Somalia. The troops are part of the African Union's mission to help stabilize the country. Uganda is one of the largest troop contributors to the regional peacekeeping effort, which is facing deep funding cuts and manpower shortages. Our correspondent Michael Baleke has the latest from Kampala.
The clash happened during a 3-day siege in the lower Shabelle region, a hotbed of al-Shabaab activity. Uganda's army says its forces eventually recaptured the town, but 7 soldiers were killed in the fighting. The troops are part of the African Union Support and Stabilization Mission, which sees troops from countries in the region deployed to Somalia to fight the al-Shabaab group. But the mission is stretched thin. It has just over 11,000 soldiers, well below the 19,000 it says it needs to hold the ground. Somalia's own military remains under-equipped and cannot fight the militants alone. Al-Shabaab, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has recently stepped up attacks, even targeting Somalia's president earlier this year. The group now appears to be regaining ground. For Uganda, this is a painful reminder of the cost of regional peacekeeping. And for African Union, it's a wake-up call as it faces shrinking budgets, overstretched forces, and resilient terror threats. Michael Baleke for N News in Kampala.
Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has formally stepped down as chairperson of the Economic Community of West African States. He handed the leadership over to Sierra Leone's President Julius Maada Bio during the bloc's 67th ordinary session in Abuja, Nigeria, ending his 2-year tenure. Tinubu said leading the West African bloc since July 2023 was a profound honor, expressing gratitude for the trust shown during his term. The Democratic Republic of Congo has extended a ban on the export of cobalt for 3 months in a bid to curb oversupply and stabilize the price of the metal used in making batteries for electric vehicles. The announcement was made by Government Regulatory Agency over the weekend. Our correspondent Chris Ocharimga has more from Kinshasa.
The Congolese Authority for the Regulation and Control of Strategic Mineral Substances announced the extension of the ban on cobalt exports, citing oversupply in the global market. The ban is meant to increase prices that had fallen to $21,000 a ton earlier this year from over $30,000 in 2024. In February, the DRC government announced a 4-month ban on cobalt exports to try and stabilize the price. The move led to an increase in prices, but the government is seeking to raise it further. The DRC is the world's largest producer of cobalt, accounting for 70% of global supply. The mineral is used for making rechargeable batteries and other components of renewable technologies. The DRC's economy has been badly affected by a war in the country's east. Authorities are now relying on the export of minerals for revenue. Experts say the global demand for cobalt has risen due to an increase in the production of electric vehicles. The extension of the ban has affected operations of several foreign-owned mining firms. Chris Ochamringa for A News in Kinshasa.
Rising tensions between Israel and Iran are rippling through Africa's oil-importing economies, with crude prices climbing and supply risk looming. Analysts warn the fallout could be severe for countries already facing inflationary pressure.
The Israel-Iran conflict is pushing up global oil prices and sending ripple effects across African markets. With Brent crude expected to rise by at least $10 per barrel, oil-importing nations on the continent now face renewed inflation risks. Analysts say a disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, through which a fifth of the world's oil passes, could further compound the crisis. Countries in sub-Saharan Africa, heavily dependent on fuel imports, may struggle to absorb the price shock. Experts caution the situation could increase production costs, stretch foreign exchange reserves, and deepen economic stress in vulnerable economies.
The prices for energy goods like oil, petroleum is going to rise, and that is going to affect many African countries that primarily rely on the fossil fuel to run their industries and to power their cars in the transport industry and factories.
Africa has to take up a strategic repositioning to understand the dynamics of the conflict and what it means for them domestically. And this means talking to populations around what is expected and what the likelihood of this conflict is going to be.
We have no future in unilateralism. We have no future in hegemony. We have no future in preemptive attacks. Our future is in a strong multilateral order.
According to Goldman Sachs, oil prices could surge even higher if hostilities expand, raising fears of prolonged disruption. For Africa's energy-dependent economies, the Israel-Iran conflict is not just a distant war, it's a looming economic storm.
As gold prices hit record highs, Ghana is deploying drones to crack down on illegal mining in protected concessions. Industry leaders warn the surge in unofficial mining is sparking violent confrontations across West Africa.
Ghana is turning to drones to stem the tide of illegal mining as soaring gold prices push more miners onto corporate concessions. Police raids now frequently follow drone surveillance, uncovering abandoned equipment and hastily deserted camps. With gold trading at over $3,300 per ounce, tensions are growing between multinational firms and artisanal miners. Nearly 20 illicit miners have died in clashes since late 2024. Officials say drones have become a cost-effective tool, helping security teams monitor vast concessions in minutes.
The drone is a faster way, and it has a faster coverage. So you could use a few minutes to fly a drone over the whole concession, but if you would want to go physically, that would mean the use of fuel and human resource and going around all the mines.
Industry leaders are urging the government to step in, saying Ghana's global mining reputation is at stake if the rise in unregulated activity continues.
Met with the National Security, the Chamber Secretary has met with the National Security Advisor and coordinators, and we've been trying to find the best way to address this because, you see, as a mature mining jurisdiction, the more of Galamsey you have, the more your industry, looking at it globally, will be challenged.
Ghana's Minerals Commission is now launching an AI-powered drone control hub with plans to remotely disable unauthorized excavators in real time. With gold demand surging and enforcement ramping up, experts warn that confrontations between miners and authorities may only escalate further.
The leader of Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, says he is open to discussions with Egypt over accusations of Cairo's support of the army in Sudan's war. Meanwhile, the government has warned African countries not to engage with a civilian opposition group led by former Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, accusing the group of undermining the constitution and threatening the national unity. Naba Mohideen reports from Port Sudan.
Speaking to his troops for the first time in a while, the RSF leader Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo said he is open to dialogue with neighboring countries as he's not looking for any problems with neighboring countries, specifically Egypt, that was accused by him and his troops of backing the Sudanese military and supporting all of the military operations that made the Sudanese army regaining control of Khartoum and major regions in Sudan. Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo said he is more open to even rebel groups that is now fighting with the Sudanese army if they want to join him, and he promised his troops of regaining control of the areas that they lost. This came after 2 weeks of his troops being controlling the Triangle area, which is a bordering area between Egypt, Libya, and Sudan. Meanwhile, the Sudanese Foreign Ministry warned African countries of engaging with the Smooth Coalition, which is a civilian groups and political groups that is not allying the Sudanese military, and they are accused of backing the RSF, politically backing the RSF, and being a political incubator, being backed and supported by the United Arab Emirates. This came after the coalition met with the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, and also met with many African leaders earlier in 2025 and 2024. Actually, Smooth is coalition that is formed after the first coalition was resolved because the first coalition said they will support the parallel government that is parallel to the Sudanese army, and they are backing the RSF in the areas that they control. Meanwhile, the war in Sudan is taking a dangerous crossroad after the RSF troops control the triangle area, which is threatening wider population in northern state, and also there is an active use of wide-range drones that is, of course, targeting civilian infrastructure and killing civilians in Sudan, while the humanitarian crisis in Sudan is deepening with more than 30 million people in need of food aid, with 5 million are acutely malnourished. The war in Sudan erupted in April 2023. Now it's more than 2 years of the war between the Sudanese military and the RSF without any resolution inside. Naba Muhyiddin for A News in Port Sudan, Sudan.
But that's all we have today on Africa News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.